Welcome back. How we doing? Hey guys. Oh, happy hump day. I miss you. Hit the like button. What's up, folks? Oh man, I still feel like crap. I just want to let you know that. I feel good. I feel fine throughout the day. And then just a couple minutes ago, I got into this like coughing fit. I drank a bunch of Dayquil. So I'm waiting for that to kick in, but it's good to see you. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. We're going to talk about tanks again tonight. I feel like we go, it goes up and down and up and down and up and down, and it's not the giggity goo kind of up and down. It's the really confusing kind of up and down. But there's tanks, a lot of them, going to Ukraine. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about also some things that I missed Monday, including a new arms package that doesn't include the Abrams, but it's got some additional Bradleys in there and some Strykers and all kinds of cool stuff. Let me know in the chat where you guys are chiming in from. It's going to be a fun night. All right, how we doing? Hello. We're here. Tanks again. Yeah, we're talking about tanks again. That's right. Right, he's in dark mode. Abrams to Ukraine, I think it's confirmed. We'll be talking about that here in just a second. Northern Ireland, how are you? Welcome in Las Vegas. I just left there. Once again, you guys got me sick. Thanks. Alberta, what's up? Atlanta, Georgia, Holland, Nigeria, my bed. Do hit the like button, please, and thank you. And if I do offend you or upset you, please make sure to let us know in the chat and as many chat comments as possible. As many comments as possible. That way I definitely see it. Okay. Let's get started. What do you think? All right. So, a couple things. We released a video yesterday. I did a video about the ZSU 23-4. So if you guys haven't seen that edited video, go over there, check that, take a look. Our edited videos essentially break something down, right? The live show is to share the footage that we find with you. The edited videos take a piece of that footage and provide you some context, provide a little bit of history on it. I'm a history nerd by almost trade, if you will. And we did one on the ZSU 23-4 that was being used by Ukrainians in direct fire mode. And that there is a precedent for that, you know, going back to its origin, back long time. The Soviets used it in direct fire mode against the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. But anyway, if you're interested in taking a look at that video, check the YouTube page, this one. And the reason I say this one is we've launched a new YouTube page. So we have launched a page in addition to this one where we'll be uploading short form content. That short form content are, you know, basically reels, shorts, things like that. We also put those on our Instagram and on my Instagram. But here on YouTube, we wanted to have a second channel where we could dedicate an algorithm against short form stuff, because there's some combat footage that gets released that's only like 10, 15, 20 seconds that doesn't necessarily warrant, a whole lot of additional narrative to it. So there'll be both raw and edited short form content. I try and throw a few funnies in there every so often. I've already started preloading that, but most of the main, steady content will be hitting that on February 1st. You guys can get to that link by typing in the chat !shorts. !shorts. That's what you want to, is that a piece of glitter on my face? That is a piece of glitter on my face. Anyway. A very merry unbirthday to you. It is my unbirthday. It's not my birthday, it's my unbirthday. Let's start talking. We got some stuff to talk about. We don't have a sponsor for tonight's stream. I would say that we are sponsoring our own stream tonight. That means that you should please download the app, !app in the chat. That'll give you a link to it. And also consider signing up for a Funker 530 Pro account. iOS users get the first month free. So if you don't have an Apple phone, you could get an Apple phone and get the first month of Funker 530 Premium free. Gets you an ad-free experience. Yeah, I got a little bit of glitter on my face. Let's talk about tanks. So we've gone back and forth about tanks over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Everything from the Bradley tank, which we'll be talking about again today, to Leclerc's, to the Challenger 2 to Abrams to Leopards, the kitty cats. Well, it turns out probably all of them are going to make their way there. I want to give you guys a video of President Biden speaking today. He is awake for it. Where he is introducing some of his thought process behind the provision of these tanks to Ukraine. Here you go.
We're not going to stay united, but we are fully, thoroughly, totally united. With spring approaching, Ukrainian forces are working to defend the territory they hold and preparing for additional counteroffensives. To liberate their land, they need to be able to counter Russia's evolving tactics and strategy on the battlefield in the very near term. They need to improve their ability to maneuver in open terrain, and they need an enduring capability to deter and defend against Russian aggression over the long term. The Secretary of State and the Secretary of the military behind me are they've been deeply involved in this whole effort. Armored capability, as General Austin.
I can't turn it up any louder, guys. It's as loud as it goes.
Has been critical, and that's why the United States has committed hundreds of armored fighting vehicles to date, including more than 500 as part of the assistance package we announced last Friday. And today I'm announcing that the United States will be sending 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine, the equivalent of 1 Ukrainian battalion. Secretary Austin has recommended this step because it will enhance the Ukraine's capacity to defend its territory and achieve its strategic objectives. The Abrams tanks are the most capable tanks in the world. They're also extremely complex to operate and maintain. So we're also giving Ukraine the parts and equipment necessary to effectively sustain these tanks on the battlefield. And we'll begin to train the Ukrainian troops on these issues of sustainment, logistics, and maintenance as soon as possible. Delivering these tanks to the field is going to take time.
Okay, let's bring it back up. So, President Biden announced 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine. That's a lot of Abrams, like a whole lot. A lot more than I expected to go. And actually, I'm just a guy on the internet. I just talk about videos on the internet whilst also being on the internet. I'm not a tanker. I'm an intel guy by trade. But I've mentioned before that, as the layman, one of my concerns with the Abrams is, a maintenance or, logistical chain that comes behind it. There are a lot of systems from an interconnection perspective inside of a tank that are dependent on other C2 infrastructure that's out there, from command and control infrastructure, everything from, the equivalency of like what would be a Blue Force tracker, something that the U.S. uses for friendly identification and threat identification in an area. I'm assuming, I'm just, ass out of you and me kind of thing here. I'm assuming that I am, way behind on tackling some of those issues. There's also challenges from a spare parts perspective as well. Now, there's a little bit of back and forth on Poland expecting to receive some of those, some Abrams as well. And I'm focusing on the Abrams at the moment. I'll get to the Challenger and then the Leopard here in a moment. I almost said Leupold. Did you know that it's Leupold, not Leopold? I didn't know that until about a year ago. So I would assume that some of that structure, that support structure necessary for the Abrams, would be provided or at least planned for by those much smarter and much more adept at planning this type of stuff than I. The Challenger I see with similar issues from UK. Now the UK has signed up for 14 Challenger 2s, if I'm not mistaken. That would be a company of tanks. The US providing 31 is somewhere in the approximation of 2 companies worth of tanks. I would see similar issues with the Challenger 2. The Leopards is where things start to get very interesting. And the total confirmed amount of Western main battle tanks to Ukraine at the moment is somewhere north of 70 plus, or somewhere north of 70, but can go all the way up and beyond 100 if Spain steps in with the 50 some odd that they have talked about being able to do. That's when things start getting into the 100 plus for these, third generation, very advanced tanks from the West. Now, technically speaking, the T-90 is a third generation main battle tank, but I don't think there are many people that believe that the T-90 is going to hold up very well against Leopards, Abrams, and Challengers. Let's just put it that way. Now, in the stream description, you guys, you have an actual list that I jotted down of the current confirmed tanks that I've been able to check in on. You know, and it starts with Germany. Germany being the one to really set this chain of events off. Monday, we talked about how Germany had yet to approve just Poland providing tanks. Germany has stepped in to say, we'll just give them a company of tanks, 14 Leopard 2A6s, the most modern Leopard as well. So Germany providing 14 Leopard 2s. Finland, reminder, still currently non-NATO country, is going to be providing 5 Leopard 2s. Poland with 14. Portugal with 4. Norway is coming in with 8 Leopard 2s. The UK has their 14 Challenger 2s. And then, of course, like I mentioned, you have the United States and their 31 Abrams. A lot of tanks on their way there. Now, I wanted to show you guys another video. There's a video making its way around social media. We're going to play Funk or Fact or Fiction of these Abrams supposedly rolling through Poland already. Let's take a look at this video, and we'll talk about it. Coming up for you guys now. Excuse me. All right, now the way this is being portrayed is that you have, a host of Abrams and Bradleys making their way through Poland. This is actually in the United States. Don't fall for this stuff. So we know this is in the United States largely because of the street signs. The street signs are yellow, and the railroad signs don't look the way railroad signs do in Poland. Just another one of those things that gets shared around and propagated. I am guilty of it as well every so often, but with this one, I took a deeper dive into it. Now, there was something that I wanted to cover with you guys on Monday. We just didn't get a chance to because we jumped right into the footage. On the 19th, an additional package from the United States, security assistance package, presidential drawdown more specifically, was announced, and we're going to go through that here because there's even more headed there since the last time we covered one of these. Let's check this out. So this was announced on the 19th that it equates to about $2.5 billion worth of arms, its value in equipment. And the biggest note that I pulled out of this is there's an additional 59 Bradleys over top of the current 50. There's going to be 109 Bradleys, 31 Abrams tanks. Lord knows how many Leopard 2s that are provided to Ukraine. The West is setting Ukraine up for a major offensive next year. Either that or it's just a major defense capability for whatever is expected from Russia to come in, over the next couple months. But that also includes 90 Strykers, 53 MRAPs, another 350 Humvees, more Excalibur shells, more HIMARS ammunition, more HARMS. So the AGM-88 HARMS, those are a big deal, and Ukraine having the ability to fire those from non-standard airframes is makes life pretty easy. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to share this with you. Now, just like I always cover with you guys when we talk about this stuff, this is a presidential drawdown package. Presidential drawdown package means that it's coming from current stock, not something that's being purchased anew. If it was being purchased anew, it would be listed as a Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative package, and the way that would work is we would take out contracts on behalf of industry for Ukraine for that. Anytime you ever want to, you can go down here and click on the Ukraine fact sheet to see exactly what and how much has been provided of which weapon systems. There's a link for that in the stream description right underneath of the list of tanks that are headed that way. T-14 Armata are a Russian main tank. Where's it at? There's like 20 of them total. They're still in like a final. They're not fielded. And to be honest with you, he's got a point, though. When the T-14 does get fielded, there's a lot of questions about its capabilities. There are a lot of folks with a lot of questions about its capabilities. But they're non-impact until they're operationalized. They are not currently fielded. All right. 14 Armada, excuse me. So I wanted to update you guys on the latest for equipment. So we talked about, when we started the stream, we talked about tanks and stuff. We also talked about our new channel that we just launched, !shorts in the chat. You'll find a link for that new channel. But we covered the current known tanks that are headed to Ukraine. Again, that's the United States with 31 Abrams. Germany's going to be providing a company, so 14 Leopard 2A6s. And then you have Finland, Poland, and Portugal stepping in with, just somewhere around 20 plus tanks. And then Norway will step in. UK is providing 14 Challenger 2s. It's a lot of Western main battle tanks. It's a lot. Sure is. Checking in on the chat here. Have you talked about tactical butt pads yet? No, but I did read about them. Yeah, I did. Check a box for me learning something new. Blueberry, thanks for the 520 super chat. Could we see a counterattack potentially coming up this summer from Russia, considering NATO is pumping Ukraine with tanks? Yeah, absolutely. So that's not just me saying that. I mean, everybody from the Institute for the Study of War to other talking heads that are out there are talking about a major offensive coming up very soon from Russia. So what I think we're seeing is posturing ahead of that, and also enabling Ukraine to begin, taking the fight a little bit even more towards Russia. Russia has been, kind of steadily making ground, and we'll pull up a campaign map and look at that here in just a minute. But they've been steadily taking ground in the east, especially around Bakhmut. Ukraine has been doing the same near Kreminna, as well as in Zaporizhia. But the front line is still ebbing and flowing in both directions. Since the major counteroffensives from Ukraine that took Kharkiv and Kherson, there hasn't really been any major ground changes. When I say major, I mean in the, the size of Delaware, like it was for Kharkiv. Andrew, thanks for the $5. With Poland buying 250 M1s, I bet General Dynamics gets their maintenance and repair shops set up. Yep. Convenient coincidence, I guess. I would assume that a lot of these defense manufacturers, the GDs, Lockheeds, etc., have contingency plans for things like this. There is also what we don't know, and what's likely from the Abrams perspective is that it'll be the export version. I mean, we've provided the export version over and over again to other places. An export version of the Abrams was provided to Iraq they sweeped ISIS in Mosul. Josh actually pointed me to a really great article earlier, and I was reading all about that. So more than likely, we'll see the export version of the Abrams that's provided. None of these tanks are invincible. From a sensory perspective, though, where you really start seeing the capabilities of Western modern main battle tanks is in their ability to engage before they're ever seen. And Eastern Europe is ultimately what these systems were designed for. Again, a lot of even the more modernized versions of what we know as our current version stuff was designed in the 80s into the 90s. So I would venture that they perform pretty well. Let's get into something interesting here. I don't really know what's going on with this. There are a lot of cool folks on Twitter that follow things that happen, with airplanes and stuff. But we had some pretty interesting video released that showed somewhere around 7 B-52s flying somewhere. Where do you guys think these folks are headed?
Those are B-52 bombers.
Yeah, so Cole, at least a couple of these are headed to Juniper Oak. I was reading about that, but what? And again, I don't have the answer for this. We just catch the footage and post it for you guys. It's difficult for me to believe that all of them are. Yeah, I mean, 7 B-52s going for that just would make sense. Now, again, I could be very wrong. I don't claim to be an expert on this stuff. We are combat footage people. We find the footage and we post it on the app and the website for you to find. Right? I might have opinions on some of it, but some of it is beyond my scope of understanding. And the movement of aircraft is definitely one of them. I tried playing DCS. I tried getting into DCS. Funker's a DCS guy, and my God, just doing that. Imagine, wow, too much. Let's get into our footage for the night, though. After I check in on more of the support, thank you for it. James, thank you very much for the 556. Unsubscribe from the YouTube membership. Enjoy and pay for the Funker 530 premium account. What's the better thing to do? We ask that if you are a member here on YouTube, we're not going to hate you at all for transition into the Funker 530 premium account. You're going to have less perks here on YouTube, but all of those perks are going to be better over on Funker 530 because you're going to be able to watch all the footage on the app and the website ad-free. You're also going to get exclusive discount codes from our partners, and we're steadily working with them to get more and increase the percentages of those. You'll get badges and stuff in the comments, in the chat. And we're also adding additional perks to our own platform. The biggest reason for that, and it's, I'm pulling the curtain back for you a little bit, 100% of what you send of your Funker premium comes back to the Funker team. What you pay to be a subscriber here on YouTube, Google takes 30% of that, if not more. I actually want to say it's more. It might be like 45%. I haven't looked at that in a while. But Google takes in a very large chunk of that. So ultimately, you're paying Google, right? All right, let's jump into the first bit of footage that we have here. This first couple pieces of footage is going to be very Russian perspective footage. We're going to see some Terminator, the BMPT. This is near Kreminna. And we're going to see two perspectives. We're going to see an aerial perspective of this, and then we're going to see a perspective that's down on the ground. Now, the way that they... I will say that this is probably a little bit not safe for work based on what's shown here, but there are a lot of cuts in this video. I'm not going to lead you to believe one thing or another. I'm just going to show you the footage and explain to you that there are a lot of cuts in this video, and the way it was described is that the Terminator ultimately killed a bunch of Ukrainians. Watch the video for yourself. There is no sound here for this one, guys. What kind of missiles are attached to the Humvees? Well, that depends. You can mount a lot of different stuff to the turret of a Humvee. I've seen tows on top of a Humvee. More often than not, you'll find 50 cals or, like a 240 Bravo. Thanks for the clarity, Josh. The BMPT Terminator killed 900 Ukrainian tanks and 342 Ukrainian generals in this video. There's somebody out there that's doing the Lord's work that's tracking how many of the HIMARS Russia has stated that they've destroyed. And I want to say it's somewhere north of 200% of the total provided HIMARS that Russia has claimed they've destroyed so far. TOW, Stingers, 50s, yeah. Cutting lanes of trees down, yeah. So what you're seeing here is that cutaway shot of deceased Ukrainians. Let's bring it back up. I got a different perspective on this for you, though. I'll give you something from the ground. I do believe this one has sound, though. Again, check the stream description if you guys ever want to see this stuff there. Coming up now. So on that Terminator, there are actually two 30mm cannons on that. And we've been asked before if we had any Terminator footage. Well, now we do. There it is for you. He missed. Yeah, he's a little high, but something to remember is those 30mm, you know, that 30mm is absolutely tearing apart trees. It's sending secondary fragmentation, so, you know, not necessarily primary, but secondary fragmentation in all directions. A great example that I try to provide for folks is, you know, in the World Wars, something that was used to pretty great effect in wooded areas was airburst ammunition, because what it would do is it would tear through the trees and send that secondary fragmentation, wood, rock, bone, all that extra stuff that gets thrown up in all directions. So even if you see those rounds impacting, you know, good 10 meters off the ground, it's sending a lot of nasty stuff down. No fun to be on the wrong end of. Yeah, it's better than a sharp stick. Whew. Now, I also wanted to cover something else with this. Hold on. Let me see if I have the right thing here. Let me see if I have the right thing. Ah, yes, perfect. Yeah, so I'm going to show you the actual tweet that I took this from. Oh, we're going to get spicy for a second here. All right, so this is the tweet that I took this from Defmon. He does a little update. Now, the way he posted it, the 76th Guards Air Assault Division defending against Ukrainian troops. And then this guy steps in and he goes, guess you need to rephrase that. If they're Russians, they by default cannot be defending themselves if they're on Ukrainian soil. That's stupid. That's stupid because even if they are in the wrong for being there, they can still be defending their position. You know, the way war works is you're attacking or you're defending, right? Or you're holding ground. Don't be stupid. That was dumb. Anyway, let's move on. They're defending their position. That's ultimately. I'm not going to show you what Defmon sent back to the guy. It's funny, but the link for this is in the stream description if you want to go check that out. All right, let's move on to our next one that I've got here, though. We are going to be, you know, looking once again at 30mm. This is just once again Russian perspective footage. This is also near Kreminna. Russians here are mounted and end up reacting to an ambush with just a lot of return fire coming from 30mm again. Here you go. All right, let's bring that back up. Excuse me. Again, that was near Kreminna, and we think that's a BMD2. I'm sure somebody's going to correct me if I have that wrong, but I think I saw somebody ask for that question. Spray and pray. You know, again, the 30mm has HE, high explosive rounds with it. So one of the things that you could be very well seeing, and there are a lot of comments. He's shooting high. He's not hitting anything. Again, he's hitting those trees, and those trees are bursting, and the splinter off of those trees is deadly. It is. You know, you can die from more stuff than just a 30mm round hitting you. You definitely don't want to be on the opposite side of that. Now, I would assume the Ukrainians ambushing this, you know, armored column here had something heavy to fight back with. Can't really see them. All you can see is them initiate the ambush against the lead vehicle, and then the BMDs open up. Checking in on chat. All right, let me also check in over here on the support. Gunslinger67, thanks for the 762. Happy name day, Ronnie. I turned 56 Sunday. Well, it's not my name day. Happy belated birthday to you, though. And thanks very much for the 762. I changed my alerts back to the other one. Thomas, thank you for the $10. Recently, prisoner-swapped Russian arms dealer is allegedly brokering a deal for Russia to purchase abandoned U.S. weapons from the Taliban. That's interesting. That's one I'll probably be looking into. The Lord of War. Okay. Thanks for the $10, dude. Dank Matter, thanks for the 20. If I didn't know any better, I'd assume that the majority of these NATO-Ukraine arms and equipment transfer deals are made months ahead of time. You'd be surprised, actually. Some of them, yeah, most definitely, are discussed way ahead of time. But you'd be surprised how inefficient, intergovernment negotiations are. That one I can tell you from personal experience. There's not as much cross-government communication as you might think. It definitely still happens. And for a lot of this stuff, it's discussed ahead of time, but then it needs to go through its approvals. And, there's a lot of red tape in the United States. And that's one of the things that I have the most experience with is red tape. I mean, for God's sakes, I had to have like a 2-star general sign off on a leaflet drop. Just dropping leaflets that say, please don't shoot us. Amazing. Torque, thanks for the $2. Matt, thank you for the $10. Tinker Tricks, thanks for the $4.75. What do you think about Sweden sending Archer, arty system, and loads of CV90s? I think it's great. I think Europe sending as much as they have that's available to them takes a little bit of the load off the United States. And I love that. Now, there's a misconception that the United States is providing more than anybody else, and that's not necessarily true. From an arms perspective, yeah, we are. But from a total funding perspective, the European Union has eclipsed the United States. So everybody asking, Europe should do more. They are. That total funding includes things like, government funding, humanitarian aid programs, things like that. But I think it's great. Nico, thank you for the 533. Lori, thank you for the 299. Guys, if I miss one of these, you guys are being really generous tonight, and I appreciate it. I just might miss one or two of them, and I'm so sorry if I do. I'm going to check back on these here in just a minute. Need info on if an Abrams can run on vodka. Only one way to find out, boss. Just make sure to take a video of it. I want to be there for it. They realize these Vics need fossil fuels, right? Yeah, and the Abrams is thirsty. The Abrams real thirsty. Let's jump into our next video here. We're going to shift into Donetsk, somewhere in Donetsk, not sure exactly where. We've got a Russian mortar vehicle being hit by Ukrainian arty. Coming up now. Copywritten music. I got to be better about the music, guys. We're getting slapped around. All right, let's come back up. Lord McCormick, thanks for the 1087. Tanks will be stripped down, plus arrive piecemeal, plus training, etc. Excuse me, I'm still a little under the weather, guys. Sounds good, but would you have said 250 tanks would stop Russia 1 year ago? I don't think the amount of tanks being provided is going to stop Russia. I think it's just going to provide Ukraine a little bit more of a fighting chance. Russia's response to this is not being thought about. I don't know that anybody can say that either. We have no idea what conversations are being had. Wanting to say something like that, just to be able to say it is one thing, right? We have no idea what's going on behind the planning curtain. None. I like to believe, again, I'm not saying this is happening. I like to believe that these types of risk analyses are being done by those that are smarter, that know what they're doing better than I. I will tell you that at some point, we will have a better understanding of what the red line is, because nobody really knows what the red line is, if there even is a red line. Now, a lot of people are pointing at the West providing arms, but nobody is then pointing right back at, Iran providing arms or Belarus providing arms to Russia. It's why are we escalating? Well, why is Russia taking arms from, what I would consider to be, to a certain extent, a vassal state, without anybody worrying about escalation from the West? Like, I just don't see how those two things are disconnected. Maybe I'm oversimplifying that. That's just me. Blueberry, thanks for the 207. Appreciate you very much. Let's jump into the next one. We're going to shift up into Kharkiv Oblast, still in the east, northeast-ish. Now, up in Kharkiv Oblast, we've got a little bit more of the TOS-1A thermobaric. I would consider this one to be not safe for work. War happens, guys. Nasty stuff happens in war. We try to show that to you as best as possible. Hopefully, we're not normalizing that, but we are still providing, some level of insight on what it looks like. Here is that footage now. This is TOS-1A hitting Ukrainian front lines somewhere in Kharkiv Oblast. Copyright music. Now, I'm probably going to be doing an edited video on the TOS-1A. We get a lot of questions about its capabilities, its comparisons to the West. There isn't a whole lot to compare it to. But I intend to use most of tomorrow to film and edit that video and hopefully launch it tomorrow if I have my way. But YouTube might make it difficult for us. We'll see what happens. But I do intend to make that video. I've got most of it written up already. Not unlike we just did for the ZSU. Here's an interesting one. We're going to shift to a Ukrainian perspective here near Vodian. Now, I want to show you guys exactly where this is, because if you just go to a map and type in Vodian, it's going to take you to Mariupol area. And that's not the Vodian we're looking at here. So let's go and take this time to look at the Institute for the Study of War's map. Understandingwar.org. If you guys are out there, love your work. And let's dive in here. I'll show you where Vodian is. Screen. There we go. I'll put myself in the low right. Does that work? Yeah, perfect. All right, so you need to find Donetsk first. And then you shift a little bit to the northwest, just to the northwest of Donetsk Airport, which is here. And then you have Vodian. Just to orient you to the map for those that might be new, that aren't familiar with Institute for the Study of War's maps, this black outlined area are Russian positions prior to their invasion, February 24th of last year. Any red beyond that with the dotted line are ISW's assessed Russian-controlled areas. Yellow areas are the areas that Russia has claimed that they've advanced to. If you see a blue area, that is a Ukrainian counteroffensive. You'll see I mentioned earlier in Zaporizhia, you've got a couple counteroffensive areas that Ukraine is pushing. Ukraine's biggest, I would say, counteroffensive at the moment is near Kreminna. That's where a lot of, we see a lot of narratives about Ukraine pushing back. That Svatova, though, relatively quiet from everything that I've read. But Vodyan, like I mentioned, once again, I got to find Donetsk and then shift to the northwest. This is Vodyan here. Now, what you guys are going to see here in this next one was a failed assault by Russia, not unlike some of their assaults earlier, where they essentially just mount up and send it in one direction, and it doesn't end up going very well. This assault took place on January 14th, and the video is just now hitting over the last 24 hours or so. It's coming up for you guys right now. Copyright music, playing our own. You saying the EU as a whole is sending more than US. How many countries make up the EU? 30? And what about the GDP values of all those countries compared to the United States? What about the size? It's a little bit more complex than that, boss. I urge you guys that are interested to truly understand the total value that's being provided based on capabilities, to check out the Kiel Institute. I want to say it's Kiel Institute. They are one of the only ones that I can find actually tracking very intently by very easy to understand metrics how much value based on things like GDP is being provided. And they've got other measurement metrics there as well, total percentages of heavy vehicles, etc. But just operating based off what the most recent talking head, myself included, has said, does you no service. Do your own research. All right, let's shift back up here. Got some more support coming in. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it very much. Sean, thank you for the 372. Do you think there's any possibility the war could end with Donbass going back to Ukraine and illegally annexed Crimea going to Russia? In my opinion, Crimea is... I have no idea, what the priorities of Ukraine is. That from a partiality perspective, my only dog in this fight is countering Russian aggression. That's it. If it were me, Crimea would be the priority. Ultimately, because of Sevastopol, warm water ports, access to controlling trade routes from the Black Sea to the Med, all the way out into the Atlantic. That would be the priority for me. But I would. That's a dart to a dartboard type of question. I could aim and try to hit an answer for that. I just don't think I'm well informed enough to say. Right. We focus on collating and reviewing combat footage. As an Eastern European expert, we have never claimed to be. Geopolitical problems, those are $20 problems on $5 budgets. Just being forward and honest about things I know about and things I don't. But thank you very much for the 372. T. Sorvik, thank you for the $5. The folks who advocate for leaving Ukraine high and dry are about as a smooth brain as the only one still simping for Russia, period. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that to a certain extent. There are a lot of folks that are mis or ill-informed because, primarily they only watch the news, right? And most of the time you'll hear that narrative from those with an opposite perspective that I have. You know, I don't watch the news and still ended up in with the position that I have. I don't have time to watch the news. I wish I did. I would just want to know what they're talking about. Yeah, but I can also understand, without truly understanding where the money comes from, without truly understanding the total value and how these arms packages work, most people just see, $2.5 billion and say, oh my God, we just wrote Ukraine a check for $2.5 billion. Didn't we just give them $40 billion? No. The $40 billion was an allocation. The 2.5 is, a part of that, right? That's just an example. So there's a lot of nuance to this that that warrants more research than what you're going to find from your standard, 60-second segment on the latest arms package on Fox News or on CNN. Typically speaking, you watch both and you find your way down the middle. That's what it is for me. All right. Let's shift we're actually moving into our unknown location footage. That's what I had out of the east. I've got an NSTR out of the south, west, and north for Ukraine. I hope you all wore your brown pants. What you're going to see here is a Russian Pantsir S2. And you just watch.
Еще! Меня оглушило уже! Ебать! Ебать!
In Josh's words, I need to change my Pantsir. I happened to see the comment in the chat a little bit ago. You should be fact-checked. The U.S. is providing funding to the Ukraine government. I'm aware. Well, we are a combat footage blog, focused very intently on military stuff. That's why we only really cover the arms packages. I've said before that the funding that's making its way to Ukraine is one of the more questionable areas for me. Right? So, I don't know. Homework. Do it. Let's jump though. Boop. So there was a video not too long ago where the police were chasing down some like murder suspect or something, and they ended up he got out of his vehicle. He was running down the highway, and he was shooting at the police, and they ended up hitting him with his car. And I remember watching that and saying out loud, boop. And then I felt terrible about that. Like as the car hit him. Oh man. Anyway, let's move on to our next video. So speaking of the Abrams, one of the things that Josh was talking about earlier, which, I would probably agree with him, is we're going to watch a video here of probably the biggest threat to the Abrams that Russia has. And that's the Ka-52. Now, if Ukraine ends up using its Western tanks from a combined arms perspective, if they end up using them with anti-air support, with infantry providing some level of ground support to the tanks, they can mitigate this threat. But the Ka-52 is a very capable platform. In fact, there are a lot of chopper pilots. I actually had this conversation 2 months ago with an actual chopper pilot. He was like, "Yeah, it's to a certain extent, it's a very capable, fast, and innovative, to a certain extent, platform." And the Ka-52 would be a threat to the Abrams. Again, the Abrams isn't invincible. But what you're going to see here is gun tape from a Ka-52 engaging a Ukrainian building. I mean, I don't know what's in the building. I wanted to show you onboard footage here. Coming up for you now.
Езжайте, не уходи. Езжайте просто. Отработали по зданию. Отход. Отработали по зданию, отход.
Avengers and manpads will have to roll out with the tanks. Yep, that's actually the exact example that I mentioned in our team chat. is, hey, if you're rolling out with Avengers, which is, which you just mount on the back of a Humvee, or, with Stingers, etc., they'll have to roll out with them. Now, for obvious reasons, there's going to be a lot of people very, very interested to see some footage of, Generation 3 main battle tanks, pitted against each other. Western main battle tanks pitted against T-90s. From a capability perspective, though, there's the Abrams is going to best the T-90 every day of the week. That's just top to bottom. Ask anyone that even knows the very least about tanks. Me. I don't claim to be a tank expert, but the first modicum of research that you do into that, you're going to come to that conclusion. Where things start to get weird is when you try and compare the Challenger, the Leopard, and the Abrams. Each of those have like these, different, there are certain aspects to each of those tanks that can best the other. There's a way for each of those tanks to best the other. But even the T-90 is not going to be a match for the Abrams if they're fielded properly, right? And when I say properly, that means the way that they're designed to. One of the challenges is going to be training on all of these variable tanks, right? So you've got 3 very modern tanks and then sub versions of those tanks. You've got 2, Leopard 2 A4s. You've got Leopard 2 A6s that are going to be provided, each with minor yet distinct differences that they're going to have to be trained on. But if you stick to the fundamentals, support it with infantry, make sure it's protected from the skies. From a capability perspective, the tanks are going to be great. Again, a lot of people talk shit when we said that about the HIMARS. Look at it now. We provided 4 HIMARS, and suddenly Russia had to rethink how it did its logistics. Let's move on. Ronnie, aren't you an Intel guy? Yes. We've got an interesting one here. We watched some video on Monday of Russians shooting a drone-dropped munition out of the sky. Well, now we're going to watch a video of Ukrainians shooting a drone out of the sky. Don't have a great understanding of where this is. Here you go. Nobody said there was just 4 HIMARS in Ukraine. The original package was 4. Now it's up into the 30 plus.
Вот мы его нашли.
Yeah, I don't know how high it was flying. Can't be easy to hit though. Do you lead your shot at all? Depends on how far away it is, how fast it's moving. Is it moving directly towards you, directly away from you, left to right, right to left? At what distance? T-14, when it actually hits the battlefield, I'll be interested to see, some more information about it. But it has still not hit the battlefield. Lord McCormick, thanks for the 543. Thanks for your thoughts on my question, and happy birthday, brother. What the fuck? Excuse me, sorry. It's not my birthday. But thank you for the 543. I hope Russia's response has been planned for. Same, that's all you can hope for is that somebody has done a COA analysis, in some way, mil-COA, mid-COA on providing each set of arms packages. Most likely COA, most deadly COA. Just, I'm getting into like very basic intel guy stuff here, but hopefully somebody's doing that. I would assume that they are. Kyle, thanks for the $4.99. YouTube glitched when I sent a chat earlier. Don't know if it sent Bradley's a tank. Browning high power's trash. Let's die on the main battle tanks to Ukraine. The Bradley is a tank by definition, by the Webster definition. Not saying by the military definition. It's definitely not used as a main battle tank, but by definition, the Bradley's a tank. The Browning high power is a piece of junk. It is. I went to an armorer's course for it. It's a piece of junk. I'm sorry. You know, that might be a hot take, but it is. You know, John Browning made it, so it must be good. Not necessarily. It's a piece of crap. I'll die on both of those hills. Let's do it. Thanks very much for the $5. Sean, thank you for the 372. Do you think there's any possibility war could end? We talked about that one earlier. Landlubber, thank you very much for the $5. Should have sent tanks 3 months ago. Many brave armed forces of Ukraine fighters are dying. Pray they can make it through. I think it probably took time to... I mean, I never thought we'd see Western main battle tanks in Ukraine, largely just quite simply from a capture perspective. That's one of the first things that comes to mind is, great, Russia's going to get their hands on our main battle tank. You know, but what you have to remember is like the export version, right? That's literally designed to be sent abroad with a lot of our more advanced technology excluded from it. I don't know what version of Abrams is going to be provided. I think I think we're not going to find that out until they start hitting the ground. But that level of those types of arms take time. Definitely take time. There's a lot of conditioning necessary, and the internal red tape process for the United States government to make that happen. You know, it's not as simple as saying, "Hey, here's a bunch of my toys," right? In my brain. Thanks very much for that. Who am I missing here? London, thank you very much for the $5. What happens if a certain mini you pops out of your comfy wearables on the live stream? You think YouTube would end you? They have a liner. We're good. He's talking specifically about my shorts. If you wouldn't mind tapping on the like button, please and thank you. All right, let's move on. We've got some footage here of a Russian tank being kind of just obliterated by a Ukrainian tank. It's important to note here that the Russian tank looks already like it has a mobility kill of some kind. It's not moving. It's abandoned or something. Still an interesting video to watch. Whew. All right, let's move on. What about our border? Yeah, it sucks, dude. Yeah, we're going to watch some footage of the border here real soon. You know, I still firmly believe that we can kind of walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time. You know, we're a big, very capable country. Not everything that impacts your way of life, the freedoms that you have, happens at your house, right? If we didn't have a foreign policy and engage, with foreign trade partners, if we didn't focus on things outside of our borders, the world is not big enough for it to not impact us anymore. It's just not, right? I'm not. Again, I fly one flag on my porch, and I'll say it again. It's beautiful. Like if it catches the sunlight the right way and it starts waving, oh. I love it. I got Toby Keith playing in my head when it happens. But we can't just stick your head in the sand. That's not how it works. It's not. I'm sorry. Let's move on. We've got, this one isn't, I don't think this one's not safe for work, but we have a Russian loitering munition, kamikaze drone, better known as, but the correct term for it would be a loitering munition. Targeting Ukrainian infantry. This is from a Russian perspective here. Coming up for you guys now. Stars and bars, that's right. It's Old Glory flying out front, man. I got a big, flagpole that I installed, and it's lit per the flag code. It's beautiful. What's up, Squid? T. Sorvik, thanks for the $5. Right, chat's decided it's your birthday. No use in resisting. Happy birthdays in chat. It's not my birthday. You guys are welcome to say happy birthday all you like, but that day is not today. Tom, thank you for the 605. What's your thoughts on Abrams, Challenger, and Leopard ending up in Russia and or China being reverse engineered? Well, theoretically, Leopards isn't really my problem. You know, if other countries choose to send Leopards, that's not my problem. As just an individual, you know, I can understand, you know, if I was German, you know, having an opinion on that. As far as Abrams, the risk mitigation to that is ultimately providing the export version, right? That same version that we have provided elsewhere. You know, that it probably already is, to be honest with you. I mean, we gave them to Iraq. We did, you know. So each country mitigating or working through a mitigation plan for capture is entirely up to them. Just my opinion there. Guys, thank you very much for the support. I had just a ton of membership renewals come in all at once there. So that kind of washed out. If I missed a super chat come in from you guys, I apologize very much. All I can say is that I thank you very much for it. We've been doing this live show now for, it'll be a year next month. And all the goal for us is to chat, show you the footage that we're finding, point you back to the website and the app where you can go back and look at it. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to watch. It's okay. It's all right if you don't. But check in on the app because we post what we find. We're a small team and we can't catch all of it. That's ultimately the design of this show, is to just connect over it. So thank you for being here. Oversaturated market, thanks for the 242. M2 Bradley is my favorite M4 Sherman variant. Thanks very much for the 242. All right, let's jump into our next one here. This next one's going to be very not safe for work. You know, just a heads up on that. What happens in this? What you're going to see is a Russian 2S4 Tulip crew. Well, the 2S4 and its crew being hit by Ukrainian artillery. Discretion is advised on this one. This is war. This channel was better without you. You're welcome to depart if you like. It's all good, man. It's all good. All right, let's bring it back up. And that's actually the second time I've heard that. And there's a reason that I'm here. And it's not for any other reason than YouTube's rules. One of the things that we can't do anymore, and I realize there are other channels out there, but this is our way of trying to play inside of YouTube's box. One of the reasons that I'm here doing this, my job at Funker 530 is not the stream guy. My job at Funker 530 is managing our partnerships with industry. The reason we do this, though, is YouTube has specific rules against sharing non-contextualized combat footage. It demonetizes, which we're still balancing all the time, it demonetizes it and gets channel strikes if you don't. So what we did is, instead of uploading raw footage here, we decided to do edited videos and start a live show to talk about it. If you'd like the raw footage, there's still tons of it. You know, a minimum of 10 pieces of raw footage hitting the website and the app every day. But there's a design behind me being here. That's why. Well, let's move on. But that's like the second, third time I've heard that on 2 different videos now. And I like to cover it so that to help you understand why I'm here. All right, so we will have some non-Ukraine footage tonight. We're gonna be taking a look at for some reason that didn't update. I'll let you guys know when we shift into the non-Ukraine footage. Yeah, there it is. We'll be looking at Mexico, some footage from Mexico, and we'll also be taking a look at some footage from the Syrian Defense Force. But first, we've got this next one. And this is a Russian soldier getting very lucky, just barely dodging a drone-dropped munition. I don't have a great location for this one, though. You know, we've kind of stopped showing all of the drone-dropped munition stuff because it's kind of the same thing over and over again. What we try to focus on is any new things that happen, you know, TTPs, tactics, techniques, procedures, things like that. So drones, we've talked about some of the additional novelty beyond dropping munitions from the drones, which in my opinion, which is only as valuable as you'd like it to be. In my opinion, the real novelty to drones is their use as from a forward observation perspective. You know, again, we saw ISIS dropping bombs from drones, but this one's an interesting watch. Happy birthday, goddamn. Oh. Thank you very much for the happy birthday wishes. I'll once again state it's not my birthday, but I appreciate you guys nonetheless. Was that a snort? Yeah, probably. I'm a dork, man. I don't care. I don't mind being a nerd, dude. Like, everybody's worried about being a nerd. I'm an absolute nerd. I don't care. I don't have anything to prove, and you don't have anything to prove to me. All right? It doesn't matter what you do. You could be a custodian. You could be flipping burgers. You can be a badass at anything you do. The most important thing is just trying to be a little bit better at it each day. I try to make the stream a little bit better each day. Try and, you know, improve small bits and pieces, whether it be making sure the stream stays live or not fucking muting myself. Little, small, incremental improvements. That's what matters. Nerd here. Hell yeah. Do it, man. That's awesome. All right. We're going to be shifting into, actually, I want to check the website. There might have been some stuff. I had a Funker meeting, as you know, right during my planning time, so there might be some things that Josh, during his write-up time, I missed. No, it looks like we covered most of that. Here's an interesting one that just dropped not too long ago. We've got video out of Hirson of a Turkish cargo ship that was damaged by a missile. I'll actually bring up the website just to help point you guys to where you can read a lot of the context that I used for the show. I'm going to give you a full screen of the website, and we'll go through Josh's write-up on this one together. Damaged by a missile from an unknown source, however, they suspect it was an attack from Russian naval forces operating in the Black Sea. The Tuzla was the ship. No crew on board, no casualties reported. Let's take a look at the video.
Köprü üstünü vurdular. Tuzla gemisi şu anda böyle yanıyor. Alev alev. Vay vay vay. Baca falan hepsi gitmiş ya. Köprü üstü yok gibi. Cherson limanı.
Again, that's a Turkish ship that the video is really just hitting now. Was targeted with no crew on board, no casualties reported. That was targeted near Hirson, Ukraine, with a missile of some kind. Now, Ukraine is, of course, reporting that it was Russian naval forces in the Black Sea. That one's one that I'm going to be paying a little bit of attention to. All right, let's jump back to the main page here. And we're going to shift into a little bit of footage from Afghanistan. What we've got here is a compilation of attacks against the Taliban by the Afghan Freedom Front. The amount of irony in this. Whoa. Okay. I haven't watched this one yet. The amount of irony here is palpable. There's 6 minutes to this. What I'm gonna do is we'll watch the first few minutes of it here, and then I'll give you guys a link if you want to go back and watch a little bit more of it. Taliban fighting against an insurgent. Yeah, you can cut that irony with a knife, with a butter knife. Just. Or we watched this one. Huckset RGD over the Hess goes there, and the reason you know it's an RGD is you can see that fuse popping as soon as he pops a spoon there. So there's an initial arming snap, and you can see it light up here. There it is. Goes over. So again, this is the Afghan Freedom Front, you know, led basically by descendants of the old Northern Alliance. Giving the Taliban some business. Fighting back. Oh, nods. Dope.
بالای قرارگاه نظامی طالبان مزدور در پل میرویز پلزوالی.
Thanks, Miguel. It's not my birthday.
Allahu Akbar.
Hello, McCormick. I'm going to answer that in just a second because I know exactly what video you're talking about. That was infuriating. All right, let's bring this back up. I'll give you guys a link to that one if you want to watch the rest of it. It's about 6 minutes worth of the Afghan Freedom Front taking it to the Taliban. Now, earlier somebody mentioned the border, and it's absolutely a nightmare at the moment. This was released while I was away at SHOT Show. I meant to cover this on Monday, and I had it in the script, but just didn't get to it. A bunch of cartel assholes across the border started shooting at one of our drones. Video's coming up for you now.
He's telling the guy, look. Is that the top of the flat mountain?
Yeah.
So that's Chapitos people.
Yep.
He's got a rifle with him too. Oh, he's gonna try to shoot at me right now.
That's a little kid. Shooting. Oh yeah, he shot. You can see the muzzle flash. There you go.
Shots fired. He's getting ready to fire.
Did he fire?
Yeah, he was shooting. He's still shooting.
They're talking to somebody. Someone else is. Oh, there we go. That guy's shooting at me. There we go.
There we go. What's that?
Miss. Still interesting that they're doing that. We've seen it. We've seen quite a bit of footage coming from, I've mentioned this before, but Nuevo Laredo, all kinds of haywire, all kinds of activity happening just across the border right now. There is one more that I wanted to look at here, and this is going to be some thermal night raid footage. This was released by the Syrian Defense Force Press Office, and it's drone and ground footage from an operation called Operation Retaliation. It's a killer capture of several Islamic State HVTs, high-value targets. Video's coming up for you now. It's about 2 minutes long. It's a good one, though. Are those ninjas? I think so. They were wearing all black. Oh, that guy's actually wearing all black. All right, let's bring it back up here. There's some more super chats I want to get to here, and thank you guys once again very, very much for it. This one's going to be, anyway. Lord McCormick, thanks for the 1087. Thoughts on video of the Black Marine being racially abused and told to, quote, stay away from our women in a Polish mall, and respect to him and his fellow troops for their control and professionalism. Yeah, so I watched that, and it was absolutely infuriating, and I have all the respect in the world for them being able to essentially, in my mom's words, turn the other cheek. They are better men than I am. There's a likely chance I would have had my ass kicked, but there was absolutely no place. There's no place for shit like that. You know, I have no respect for somebody that treats another person that way. You know, based on, you know, race, color, creed, etc. But that was a tough video to watch. You know. And it was a couple of weeks ago that I watched it now, so I'm trying to recall the you know, specifics of it. But if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you'll be able to find it by searching on Twitter. You know, much respect to those dudes, absolutely. Summer, thanks very much to Sommer. Excuse me, thanks very much for becoming a member. Low Key, thank you for the $4.99. What happens to our planes in the Pacific if Ukraine loses? What do you mean? Super Steve, thank you for the $5. We love you. Happy birthday. It's not my birthday. Thank you for the $5. Appreciate it very much. Oversaturated Market, thanks for the 242. Thank you guys for it. Tim F, thank you for the 2133. Hello from Germany. If I'm not mistaken, the Leo 2A6 can use 120 millimeter burst ammo. That's a big problem for Russians in trenches, if you ask me. Any Russian or Ukrainian in a trench right now has a lot of problems. Has many problems. There are an innumerable amount of weapon systems that can defeat trenches at this point. Trench warfare is a World War I meta, and was really not designed for the type of precision weaponry that we have. I've talked about that before. You know, you can aim some of these capabilities at like this is an exaggeration, but at a nose hair and hit within a couple meters of it. The precision to these weapon systems being fielded right now make fighting in a trench a nightmare. Let's just put it that way. Super Steve, thank you for the $5. How realistic would be to see U.S. military involved in Mexico to deal with cartels in the near future? The United States it would make a whole lot of sense to involve the U.S. military in, given that it's our border, directly. So this would be something that I would absolutely support, is sending the United States military into Mexico to handle that problem. Strengthening ties with Mexico would be of extreme value for the United States, not least because of proximity. You know, for obvious reasons, we want to, you know, counter Chinese or any potential Russian influence on our southern border. We're getting into geopolitics, which is not my strong suit. But if it were me, my friends in the South, I would want to be closer to. And that would be an operation that I would 100% support. Yeah, let's do that right now. Way into it, 100%. All right, folks. Looks like we're kind of winding down here. Racism is the refuge of the weak and pathetic. Yeah, it really is. It really is. You know. F*** them. That's all I've got to say. That's exactly why it isn't happening. Yeah. You know, again, we're getting into levels of complexity that I don't pretend to have the knowledge base to speak to. You know, there's a lot of folks out there that might talk to things that are beyond their understanding just to have an opinion on them. I do my very best not to do that. My opinions might be a simpleton opinion on certain things, but I try not to have one on things that I don't at least have some level of understanding. But there's a lot of folks that just want to have an opinion to have an opinion. Whatever. I'm out of here. That's it for us tonight. A couple more. Actually, you guys are still sending in support, and thank you for it. Nilspar, vet to vet, happy birthday. Thanks for the $10, man. I'm out of here. I'm going to go kick back on the other stream. We'll have a beer. We'll chat about some stuff from SHOT Show. I'll give you guys an update on my TV show. At least some level of an update. It's going to be a pretty similar update that I give you every time until I have more of an update. There are a few minor things that have come out recently that I can talk a little bit about, and I might leak another photo or two. But we'll talk about that when we get there. Please do go over and sub to our new Shorts channel. Exclamation point Shorts in the chat. I promise you won't have to see these unless you really want to, because it is for short form content, everything from raw footage to edited short form content. We're preloading it now, but you can expect a couple new videos over there a week. We appreciate you. We're not perfect, but all we're hoping to do is gather combat footage, document it so that platforms like YouTube can't erase it like they did for the majority of the Syrian civil war. A lot of that footage just disappeared from our channel. We didn't delete it. Good night. Stay informed. And thanks for being here.